Hi everyone, welcome back to another check-in. Today will be my August check-in. I feel like I just did my July check-in and I'm already back here doing my August check-in. At the same time, it's also well into September when I'm filming this. It's currently 6 September on Saturday, so my plan is to film this and then hopefully get it edited within a day so that I can upload it tomorrow. I actually wanted to film this last week on the Sunday, which was the very last day of August, but I was prepping a video to publish, and by the time that it was all done, I was so tired. I had a mild headache, and so I thought, I don't think I have the brain space to talk about how the month has gone. I think I need like a week to decompress from August and then come back here to discuss how August really went. But the thing is, as I was planning for this video and reflecting on how August went, there wasn't really a lot that happened in August. In fact, I think the dominant theme throughout August was just that it passed really quickly. Like the weeks sort of just blended into each other, one after the next. And I was thinking of discussing that a bit also today. But basically, to summarize, I felt that August was a bit of a contradiction. It felt both long but also short at the same time. I thought I was very busy, but when I actually looked at my calendar, there wasn't a lot happening. And it felt like it was a very fast cycle of weekdays leading into the weekends, going back into the weekday. And I think after it happened a couple times and I had the same sort of deja vu feeling, then I started to think more about it. And also at the same time, I think I mentioned in my last check-in that I'm just excited for September to come, because September to me is like the beginning of the end of the year. So August is that weird transition month for me where I wasn't really excited for anything happening in August. The main thing that was exciting to me was waiting for September to come. I think that mindset probably also contributed to that feeling of August being both long and short at the same time. But an exciting thing that did happen in August was that I confirmed a couple more trips happening at the end of this year. So for the longest time this year, I didn't really know what was going to happen at the end of the year. Like the original big trip that I had planned didn't work out, so I didn't really have any plans at the end of the year that I could look forward to. But then finally those plans are confirmed and I do actually have a trip to look forward to. So that has been quite exciting, because then I have something to plan for, something to work on, and then eventually an actual trip that I can go on. So that has really lightened my days and it's something that I'm really looking forward to. So that's one update. But also going back to the point about the weeks sort of blending into each other, I think I was really thinking about it in the second last week of August, because in that week I took 2 days of leave on Thursday and Friday so that I could have a long weekend. It was also because I wanted a short break from work. Things had been quite busy and I had felt like I hadn't had enough time to do all the life admin things that I needed to do. So I took Thursday and Friday off so that I could have a long weekend. And by the time Sunday came, I was thinking to myself, like, do I feel rested? I had a really long weekend, but a lot of that time was also spent doing things like running errands. And I don't think I would have been the kind of person to just take Thursday and Friday and then do absolutely nothing at home. So I would have found things to do anyway. So that made me think that maybe an extra long weekend is not enough time to recuperate. So by the time Sunday came and that was the end of my long weekend, I just felt a bit empty. I don't know, I feel like that's a bit dramatic. I just felt like maybe what I really need to feel rested is more than just a long weekend. And I think that's also why I'm excited for my longer trip at the end of this year, because I'm taking 2 weeks off of work and I think I need that kind of space and time to really separate myself from the daily tasks of my life, like not just work but also my life errands, my life chores. I think I need that kind of distance and length of time. So just like one-off extra weekends don't really do it for me in terms of helping me feel rested and rejuvenated. Like, I'm thinking back to all the past trips I've had throughout my life, and it's really those longer, almost 2-week long trips that really help me feel refreshed and like my mind has been cleared and rested. So that's one thing, having longer periods of rest rather than just longer weekends, because oftentimes I would spend those like days off doing things that I would have done on the weekends anyway. That's just me at least. And then the second thing that I was thinking about also was the cycle of the weeks. So I felt like the weeks were just blending into each other, right? It was almost like I was just waiting for the weekends to come, and then the weekends would pass by in a flash, and then it'll be the work week again. So I think my cycles are too short. I was almost just thinking of my time on a weekly basis rather than as a whole month or a whole season of my life. Sorry, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining it, but I think also because I was so busy at work that my perspective sort of shrunk to just the weeks rather than the entire month, because I had deadlines to meet every week. So what I was doing was that my long-term view was basically just the next week. So that kind of shrunk a lot of my perspective on time and kind of actually made life feel very hollow to me in that moment, at least in the month of August. And so I was reading up a lot about it, and one idea that I've been thinking about even before August, but I didn't really spend a lot of time on it, was the idea of seasonality. And this idea of seasonality came into my radar because I was watching a lot of perfume content on YouTube, and I think at that time it was entering the summer season, or what would be the summer season in the Northern Hemisphere. So a lot of the YouTubers I was watching were talking about curating a perfume wardrobe for the summer. And of course in Singapore it's always summer, it's always one sort of climate. Of course there's variations in like how rainy it is or how cloudy it is or how hot it is, but generally people all sort of dress for the same climate throughout the year. But it made me think about like how can I incorporate a bit of that seasonality in my life, but it kind of stopped there. But in August, after this whole revelation about my weeks feeling so short, I was thinking about it a bit more, and there's actually a psychological basis for this, according to what I read. So it's the way that you perceive time, and the shorter the time frame that you perceive, the less you are able to fit in it. And human beings tend to want to create some sort of narrative arc in their lives, and when your time span is only 1 week, it's very hard to create a long narrative arc for yourself, like a story for yourself about your life in your own mind. It's almost like you're only reading short stories rather than a long novel. There's only so much development that can happen in a short story because of its length. And that's why thinking of your life in terms of seasons or longer periods helps you have a better grasp on the overarching theme of that period in your life, or the lessons that you learn from that period. So this is something that I've always envied when I read books set in countries with seasons, because I feel like there's a very distinct winter season, summer season, and the themes and the lifestyle changes and the mindset that you have when you are inhabiting these seasons are very different from each other. Like the mindset that you have in winter and all the lifestyle habits that accompany that season look so different from summer. And I feel like the growth tends to be more visible when the environment is so different. And then I compare that to how I've been feeling in August, and the idea and the feeling like I'm just living my life week to week. So I think that also contributes to that feeling of time passing very quickly, because a week is much shorter than 3 months, and you're just spending week after week feeling that way. And I don't want to feel like my weeks and my days are passing by so quickly. I want that sort of narrative arc, that story for myself, because I'm working on so many goals, and I was thinking it would perhaps be more meaningful to me to see my progress not on a week-to-week basis, but rather on like a maybe 3-month period. I'm sorry, I'm rambling so much and I'm not even sure if I managed to express what I've been thinking about coherently, but that's been something I've been thinking about, and I think this will be something that I'll continue to think about for the rest of the year. And if I can consolidate my thoughts into something a bit more coherent and insightful, maybe I can talk about it again in another video. But for now, that was what I was thinking about at the very tail end of August. And also, I guess it's a bit of a reflection for me also now that I'm in September, and as I'm reflecting back on August, now that I'm thinking back, it was teaching me what not to do, I think, and how to continue thinking about my days moving forward. Yeah, that is what I've been thinking about at the end of the month. I think I was just getting tired of dreading Mondays on Sundays. Like I would spend my Sundays thinking about the upcoming Monday and feeling dread at just the routine of it. I'm a very routine person, but I don't like monotony and I don't like feeling meaningless. So I need to move it from monotonous routine into something like a ritual or something more deeply meaningful, because otherwise I'll end up feeling the way I did for most of August, which was just this sort of aimless cycle of time. But yeah, that is my very rambly update on how August went and what it taught me. So I'll quickly go through my goals now just to check in on how they're going. So the first is my soft money goal. So in August, I was continuing my ban on buying outside drinks, but I say ban very loosely. It was just that I would tell myself that I won't buy this drink now so that I can make it at home later. I'm still doing that. I love making my drinks at home. I make them in the office as well. And I think it's been scratching the itch of like wanting a midday snack without having to go out and spend money. Of course, I'm spending money on the ingredients beforehand, but overall I think I'm really enjoying the act of preparing my drink, so I'll continue with that moving forward. And the second thought I had also was that I have been spending quite a bit of money this year actually, which I interestingly, or not very interestingly, I don't know, I don't feel as bad about, because I feel like my taste has grown so much and developed so much that whatever I do end up buying, even if it's expensive, it is a favorite almost immediately. I think I'm moving closer and closer to my ideal of being very intentional with my spending rather than just restricting my spending for the sake of restricting. So I guess that is how it is. Then as for my personal goals, the first one, I have quite a lot to say. Let's start with the first one, which is my health and fitness, going to the gym. I think last month I said that I wanted to go to the gym maybe twice a week. I thought that it had completely failed because in the last 2 weeks at least, I haven't gone to the gym at all. But looking back at my notes, I did go to the gym almost twice a week from the beginning of August to about like 3/4 into the month. So I have been going to the gym. It's just that the second half, or like the last week of the month and the first week of September so far, I have been choosing to stay home to read over going to the gym. I've been so engrossed in reading recently that I am purposely choosing to skip the gym so that I can have more time to read. And honestly, I can't even bring myself to feel bad about it. I do kind of feel bad about it, but also it's not like I'm staying home to do nothing. I'm staying home to do another activity that I really enjoy. But it's been making me rethink my whole gym goal. Not in a very drastic way. I'm just thinking that I want to at least make it a goal to go every week, once a week, and maybe be a bit more consistent. Like, as much as I love reading, I do want to make the gym a more effortless part of my life. I even am trying to bribe myself into going by buying, like, I bought this supplement recently. It hasn't arrived yet, but I bought a creatine supplement. If you're a gym person, you might have heard of it, but it's quite a common supplement. It's supposed to boost your exercise performance and also help you hold on or build muscle. It's that kind of supplement, but it's not like a steroid or anything. So I bought that supplement for about $20, I think, on iHerb. They were having a sale. So hopefully that will motivate me to go to the gym a bit more frequently instead of always putting it off. But yeah, apart from the last 2 weeks, I have been quite consistent in going at least once a week. And I think that will be my goal from now on, to just aim for once a week. And then if I have another free day and I really want to go, I'll try to go another time. So that's with the gym. But another thing that I've been doing also is to just incorporate more movement throughout my day. So one thing that I try to do is taking the stairs instead of the escalator, or at least walking on the escalator. So I'm a bit more intentional with that. But also because I hate being with a large crowd, I get very claustrophobic, so I do prefer just not taking the escalator at all. It's just an easy way for me to get just a little bit of extra cardio in. Although I am aware that just taking the stairs alone, it's not really on par with actually going to the gym to train, because there's no like progressive overload or anything, and you need that to be able to build muscle. So it's just a way for me to feel a bit better and feel a bit more active. I do want to get back into going to the gym more frequently. It's just been deprioritized the past couple of weeks because I've been obsessed with reading this book that I will talk about in my favorites. But hopefully in September, leading up to the start of all my trips happening, I will be a bit more consistent and hopefully get back that little bit of muscle that I had already started building. I always imagine my muscles, which are not even that significant right now, but I always imagine whatever I have built just sort of melting away each time I skip the gym. So I don't want them to melt away, so I need to start going back. And then my next goal is to be a morning person and sleep early. I think the theme of this month was to just get enough sleep. There were actually more than a couple nights in August where I've slept very late, and it reminded me just how difficult it is for me now to recover from lack of sleep. So there was, I think, a week in the month where I was sleep deprived for 2 days, and the switch in my mental health was so immediate. I forgot how much sleep really can impact your mental health in that way, and it's so fast. Like, my mental health just from being sleep deprived for 2 days, 2 nights, completely nosedived, and it only got better like when I got enough sleep that same night. So I really hope that doesn't happen again. I need to make sure that I at least am able to make up for the lost sleep immediately the following night. So I feel like 2 nights is really just too much. At most 1 night of sleep deprivation, and I say sleep deprivation to mean like 5 hours of sleep or less, not like pulling an all-nighter. I think if I were to pull an all-nighter, I would not be able to function. I'm not even sure if I have the ability to pull an all-nighter anymore. I'm trying to get enough sleep at the very least, and I was thinking about it just this morning that I am falling in love again with my bed. I mean, it's not like I never liked my bed, but I go through these phases where I think my bed is the best place in the world. And I think it's also because I've been spending a lot of time in it the past 2 weeks because I've been reading. There's the most comfortable place in my house to read is really my bed, so I've been spending a lot of time in it because I've been reading so much. And it's also been very cool in the mornings, so when I wake up it's always very cool and I'm under my blanket and I feel so cozy and warm in like a good way, not in a sweaty way, because there have been really hot mornings where I wake up sweating and I just want to get out of bed as quickly as possible because I'm just so sweaty. But on the really cool mornings, you don't want to get out of bed because it's so comfortable. So I've been in this mood of like, I'm in love with my bed, I never want to get out of it. Some mornings I'm awake, but I'm just lying in bed, just savoring the feeling of lying down. And my mattress is a really good mattress also, so that just adds to the feeling of like my bed is heaven on earth. Sorry, I'm talking a lot about it, but it's just a phase that I'm going through, and that also means that I get out of bed a lot later. But yeah, random appreciation, but I just thought I should call it out. Then finally, this YouTube channel, my third goal. I just want to give a heads up first for October and November. I'll be traveling in those 2 months, so I'm thinking that I might not be able to post an October check-in. I might have to combine my check-ins for October and November and then just post it at the end of November, beginning December. And I was also thinking maybe even my September check-in might be delayed. I'm not really sure yet about my schedule, so just wanted to give a heads up that the channel might be quite sparse towards the end of this year and check-ins might not be as timely either, but I'll try to figure it out. So I don't know, I hope that I can at least post a check-in. I don't have any more videos that I'm working on right now. The last video I posted was my 10 habits video, and I haven't thought about or filmed any new videos after that, so I'll brainstorm and see if I have anything to come up with for this month. But just wanted to apologize in advance that the channel might be quite sparse for the rest of the year. And that is mostly it for my goals check-in for August. One little goal that I wrote down also was that I've studied Korean a total of 3 times this month. I think also because I've been waylaid by the excitement of trip planning, but I am getting back into it. There's so many things I want to do, but so little time. So maybe thinking about my time as blocks of months rather than weeks will be helpful for me, because there is only so much time in the week that I can do all these things that I want to do for myself. Anyway, next I'll talk about my budget. Nothing much to say for my budget for August other than I overspent on food this month. I really don't know how. I think maybe I had just gone out a bit more or spent a bit more on each meal, and so it added up to me bursting my budget. Or maybe it's the groceries that I've been buying. But yeah, overspent a bit on food. So I increased my budget for food just a bit this month to see if that would help. I increased it by $30, I think. It's fine, it's not a huge deal. And finally, let's talk about my favorites. I have quite a few to talk about. So my first favorite is not really a song, but more of an announcement, but that is Taylor Swift's new album that's coming out in October. I mean, the album is not even released, so I don't even know what it's gonna sound like, but I suspect that it will be all I listen to for the rest of the year. And also the podcast episode that came out with the announcement. I haven't even finished watching the podcast because it's 2 hours long. I've been trying to watch it in bits and pieces during my meal times, but I still have, I think, the last 30 minutes left. But it's just so, I mean, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. Of all the artists I listen to, she's just been the one that's most consistent in putting out music every 1 or 2 years. So I think it's just her volume of work that also makes her constantly in my radar and constantly an artist that I'm listening to. And she's been putting out hit after hit, so I'm pretty sure this album I will like as well. I love all the imagery that she's come out with, all the album covers. I think it's just very fresh and different for her. So I'm very excited for that album, and even just the announcement is a favorite of mine. It's just very exciting. So that is my first favorite. Then I have a few book favorites. My first favorite is this book called Strange Pictures by Uketsu. It's a translated Japanese novel. It's very short. I borrowed it from Libby. So the book would be considered a psychological thriller, I think. So I had placed a hold for the ebook on Libby a few days before. And then I finally I managed to get like a skip the line copy. So they give you like a shorter borrowing time. But I got it at the end of the workday. So I started reading it on my commute home. And I did not stop reading it all the way until nighttime. I basically stayed up late to finish the book. And because I was just so enthralled by the story, it's really fast-paced and it's quite short as well. I'm not really sure how many pages because I was reading it on my phone on the Libby app, but I think it's quite a short book. So if you wanted to, you could really finish it in a day, which was what I did. I finished it in an evening, and it's just really gripping and exciting and also creepy as with his other books. He also wrote Strange Houses, which was adapted into a film last year, but I think this is his second book, I'm not sure. But Strange Houses is so popular that I am still waiting for my copy. I think I was like number 1000 something in line for a copy of that ebook. But Strange Pictures is a lot faster. I was reading some reviews on Goodreads, and there were some people who said that it's very simple and very shallow, but personally I don't think so. I feel like that is the style and the vibe of this author, and it's a real like reading experience. I think there were some twists in the book that I felt could only be a twist because you are reading the story, and it would be quite hard to translate that when it's in a film or in a visual media. It really reminded me of the power of literary art, of writing, as compared to the like visual art or filmmaking that is quite different and separate, that have their own strengths, but literary art also has its own unique characteristics that when you see or you read a piece of work that is maximizing that to its fullest potential, I feel like it's quite an amazing feeling. So I really enjoyed Strange Pictures and I highly recommend it. You can just borrow it from Libby, and you might have to wait a few days because it's really popular right now, but I highly recommend it. And then the second book that I've been reading is a bit of a random one, and I would call it like my casual reading book. So sometimes I would have a book where I'm just reading it over a meal or while waiting for the train. So it's nothing too plot driven that it would require my full attention, but almost like light reading, casual reading. And the book is called The Chanel Style Principles by Hannah Rogers. It's a really random book. I can't even remember how I came across it. I think I was just on the Kino website browsing some books, and then it came up as a recommended, and then Libby also happened to have the book, so I borrowed it from Libby. And what appealed to me about this book was that it is kind of a series. It's a series of books of all the luxury houses, the iconic luxury brands. The concept of each book is that it's a collection of 10 style principles that can be taken from each luxury house, like their unique characteristics and defining features of each brand. So just the concept of all those books intrigue me because I love a format that can be reiterated with different topics. So the fact that there's a Chanel one, there's a Gucci one, there's a Dior one, it's like the same format across all these luxury houses. I don't know how to explain why I like this kind of thing, but I guess the genre of it intrigued me, so that was really appealing to me. And it didn't seem like a very long book, so I started with the Chanel book. And I've always had an intellectual interest in Chanel because I think I read the Wikipedia page for Coco Chanel, the founder, and I was very interested in her life and her as a person. And I think a couple years ago, I also tried to read a lot of like fashion history books from the library. There's a shelf in my library that has all the fashion history books and biographies of the different fashion icons. And Chanel was one of them that I was really interested in because her life seemed so fascinating to me. But all the books that I found, they were very intense biographical accounts of her life, and they were often like very thick, heavy books with pictures, and so they weren't books that I could easily bring out to read. And so I've only read a bit here and there. But then this book, this Style Principles series, promised to be a very concise book that could summarize the not just the style principles of the brand, but also how the designer's life and the events in the designer's life shaped those trends, those characteristics. For instance, Chanel spent a lot of time in the stables, like riding horses, and so she was inspired by the more masculine equestrian style of clothing, the more typically male style of clothing, and so that's why her clothes tended to have a more boxy masculine cut and were also very practical clothing. She popularized trousers for women in a time when women were just not wearing trousers. It wasn't just that it wasn't fashionable, but also a bit of a taboo. So I just found her to be a very pioneering person. I don't know, but it was a very simple book to read. I think I finished it in a couple days, just like reading it casually over my meals or while moving from one place to another. I was halfway through reading the Dior version, but I think I wasn't as interested in Dior as a designer. So I learned a bit about Dior's characteristics as a brand, but I wasn't as interested as I was with the Chanel one. And then after that, I got distracted. I started reading something else, so I haven't even started on the Gucci and the Louis Vuitton one, but they're all available on Libby, so I'll just borrow them whenever I feel like I want to read it again. But yeah, even though it was such a simple book, it made quite an impact on me, and as I said, I love the format. And then the last book on the list that has been my favorite in August is obviously The Hunger Games. I mentioned this in my last vlog that I was reading this, and I only just recently finished it. I finished it a couple days ago, and now I'm starting on the second book. But I was reading it all throughout August, and even then it was already like a strong favorite in the month of August. I talked about it a lot in my vlog, so I won't repeat myself, but it's been such a joy revisiting this series, and I was so excited to get started on the second book. Basically, I'm excited to read the entire series, and I think I can probably make it till the end of this year just reading The Hunger Games and all the sequels, because I have 4 more books to read, including the one that I'm currently reading, and there's 4 more months left to the year. So I think if I manage 1 book a month, I will finish the series by the end of the year, and then I can watch all the movies. It's so gripping, and the narration is just so strong, and the themes in the story as well are really powerful. And it's been long enough since the last time I read it that it does feel new to me, even though I roughly know how the story goes in the trilogy. It's just been a joy. This is the reason why I have not been going to the gym, because I'm just staying home reading this book all the way until it's time to sleep. And I really enjoy it. I cannot recommend it enough. If you've never read it, or if you've only watched the movies, I still recommend the book. I think it's such a pleasure to read, and if you've never read it or watched it, I highly recommend one or the other because it's such a great series. I am obsessed with it. This is just what I'll be thinking and talking about for the next 3 months. So, a huge favorite of August. And then my final favorite is a bit of a random one, but I am really obsessed with it, and that is my hand soap. My hand soap from this brand called Postcard. It's a Singaporean brand, and I found this at Tangs at VivoCity. I was just browsing, and then I came across this. It was a display like right at the front of the store, and they had a few products. They had like essential oils and perfumes and stuff, but I saw this hand soap and I really like the scent. So this is the hotel lobby scent. They described it as a bergamot vanilla scent, and it really smells so nice. I think it's the nicest scent that they have among all the scents. The other scents are nice, but this is my favorite, the hotel lobby scent. And I thought it was so cute and like, it would look so nice on my sink. And I'm a sucker for fancy hand soaps. Like, as somebody who lives in her own house now, I feel like fancy home stuff like hand soap or candles brings a lot of joy to me. So at first I wanted to buy it for my friend's housewarming, but then I ended up loving the scent so much that I just bought one for myself as well. And it's really, I think, the nicest hand soap smell I've ever smelled, or at least one of my favorites. And I think once I run out of this, I will just buy the refill. So on their website, they have a refill, a 1 liter refill pack that I guess you can use to refill this bottle because it's made of aluminium. And I love it. Every time I wash my hands, the scent lingers on your hands and it smells so good. Like, truly, if they had a hand cream version of this, I would get it. If they had a body lotion version of this, I would get it. To my knowledge, they don't. I think the hotel lobby scent is only in essential oils and perfumes and deodorants, but they don't have a body lotion, if I'm not wrong. I will have to look on the website again. But it's such a great brand and it's local. They have a store in Orchard as well. I was in Orchard recently and I passed by their physical store. So you can find this in Tangs or you can find this in their physical store. You can just order online. It's really great. I didn't think that a hand soap would end up in my favorites, but this is amazing. And if you are into this kind of thing as well, you won't regret because it's such a good hand soap. It's not stripping, the smell lingers, it's really nice, it suds up really nicely, it's really soft, it's really like smooth. It also doubles as a body wash. I think it's advertised as a body and hand wash, which I think explains the pump, because one thing that I would change if I could change anything is the pump. I feel like I have to be really careful about how hard I press it so that it doesn't dispense too much. If it's a body wash, it makes sense because you do need a lot more product, but for your hands I think it would be way too much product, so I'm always pressing it just the slightest bit to get just like a pea-sized amount, and that is enough to wash both my hands very well. So you don't need a lot of product to get your hands clean. It's a bit too expensive to use as a body wash for me. I think it'll be great as a body wash, it's just a bit expensive, I think, and I would use up this bottle in like 2 weeks. So for now it's just my hand wash. It's just been giving me a lot of joy. It's such a small thing, like a nice hand wash, but you wash your hands how many times in a day? That's a lot of times in the day to have your mood lifted just a little bit by a nice hand wash. That is my last favorite, and I've been talking for so long in this video, I hope I can cut it down to a reasonable length. Sorry in advance for how messy my thoughts are in this video. I think I had a lot of thoughts about August and I just wanted to share them all with you, and it might not have come across very clearly, but that is how my month went. And thank you so much for watching till the end of this video if you did. If you have any favorites that you want to share with me from the month, I would also love to hear it, or anything that you think I would like or you would want me to try, let me know. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!